Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's a Cubs sweep, and it's also the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by DraftKings. Download the app. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. How about that? Light the W, fly the W. They're coming home with another series win and a sweep of the lowly A's in Oakland. We're 4 wide for the live podcast. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Corey Friedman, and Cody Del Mendo, who will be doing the victory beer chug on his beer bat with the 3-1-2 Goose Island before the show's over. He's prepping himself.
I'm sending tweets right now.
He's prepping himself.
Guys, but yeah.
Bracing himself.
Give me a few minutes.
Nick says, hashtag we are good. Yeah, somebody get Miggy Montero on the line.
We're having a good time, Luke.
Also, hashtag A's are bad.
The A's stink, but you got to beat up on bad
baseball,
teams,
man.
and the Cubs did just that. So
That's totally true. The thing that could have happened is losing to the A's, which would have been humiliating.
Right.
They didn't do that.
And especially coming off a really good weekend in L.A. at Dodger Stadium, you didn't want to let down here against a really awful Oakland team. I mean, like kind of shockingly bad at times, but got to take care of business, clean up on the bad teams. Like that's something that the Cubs were not doing in past years all the time. Like they were one of those bad teams. So, flip the script a little bit, like especially early in the season when you're playing well, you got to collect these wins. And that's exactly what the Cubs did.
12-2, by the way, and another double-digit hit game, 11 hits.
I know the Cubs were bad last year, but even in the first half of last year, I don't think those Cubs were nearly as bad as the Oakland A's this week.
That's a bad baseball team.
The Cubs were bad in the first half of last year, but
that Possum is better than half that roster.
Possum was playing left field today.
At least there were guys on the Cubs that you could like get excited about a little bit. Like we were excited about Nico Horner all last year. We were excited about Keegan Thompson and Justin Steele and some of these other guys. I mean, maybe Ruiz.
Yeah,
maybe
in center.
Ruiz?
Yeah, the guy out playing in second or in center field. Like maybe he's one. Like, man, like there's and the Miller guy who pitched today.
Tony Kemp's got his own poster coming out April 30th.
True. You're right. So yeah, all I'm saying is like, I feel bad for the A's fans that are following in a way.
26-3 run differential this series, says M. Rock. All right.
I just like 5-1 in LA. Like that's the stuff we dream about, folks. Like we have watched. Even I feel like when they've had great rosters, the Cubs, like these LA trips,
They're
San
tough.
Diego trips, California trips. It doesn't matter how bad the A's are. Like these California trips are notoriously tough, and they cleaned up. So like, it's exciting. I mean, like it's early. It's only 17 games, but they're 11-6. Feels great to be here.
Yeah, I'm still kind of laughing at Corey last night after the Cubs won. Asked me, he's like, when's the last time the Cubs won 4 straight series? Thinking it might be. Honestly, it did feel like it was further in the past, like maybe first half of 21 or something. And I'm like, it was literally 4 of the last 5 series of 2022. It was like 4 series and then one last series.
I thought it would be like a good tweet, like, it's been since 2020. And Ryan was like, no, it was literally the end of last
season. What was the common theme?
Of
great starting pitching.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, that's been it.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously they scored a buttload of runs in this series, but it's been great pitching is why they've had such a good record so far
Well, I
this
think
season.
especially in this series, like they opened up a few of these games. Obviously, you saw the overall run differential, but you really see like the key to making this offense work at times. We saw them explode, so they end up with a lot of runs, but a few of these games were close for a little bit. Yesterday's game was close for a while, and then they end up, coming through and breaking it open a little bit. But that's what we expected out of this pitching staff, right? To keep this offense in the game long enough, and the offense just needs to come through at some point, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And obviously you're getting a little bit more than that when you're scoring so many runs, but the pitching is keeping them in these games, and even if it takes until the 7th or 8th inning for the offense to come through, it's fine. It's a recipe that works.
Are we ready to chug?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're ready?
Hold on. Let me get the stopwatch. Go ahead and
pour.
do your pour. Do
You
your
gotta pour
special
it
pour.
first.
Do the pour. We can do the pour.
The victory beer bat chug.
Joel says I
Cody
didn't send
Del
out the
Mendo.
tweet yet. What tweet didn't I send
Wait,
out?
so I want to see if we can get, like a little...
Shawn
Shawn Michaels is out.
Music for it?
I sent
there
my
you go.
tweet.
We got a sound effect?
No, I was going to see if we could do like a little.
Something special?
Here we go. Hold on.
Joey's here.
Joey's doing
Joey's
something.
here. Joey's working his magic.
What is he doing?
Well, Cody, just pour your beer.
Pour
while Joey
the
works
beer,
his
would ya?
magic.
Joey
Okay.
dumped that Bulls team faster than you can.
I like this.
This pour is brought to you by our favorite beer
I do
and
like
the
this.
best beer company in Chicago. That is Goose Island. If you know, you know.
Honk, honk.
Especially when it's
Joey's busy.
3-1-2.
Yeah, 3-1-2.
That's my go-to if I were to be chugging right now.
Matilda? What about the beer hug? You did chug a few beer hugs.
I did.
I am worried because Cody now, like, he could end up doing like 90 beers this season from the beer bat.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Let's well, it's a good thing Joey has to. I didn't pour it as well as last time. The pour.
All right, Joey's got it. Joey's got it.
See that? We got the stopwatch right here.
There we go.
Covering Luke.
Yeah.
Almost.
Okay,
Almost.
relax, Corey. You could still see him.
We're workshopping it.
I think it's
all
in
right,
Luke's
we'll go
contract
so-
that he can't be covered like that.
Can we let the head
the
settle a
screen
little
share?
bit?
I don't know.
All right, just
Should have had a better.
chug. Let's
All right,
go.
let's
The
do
people, the poor people on Spotify are going, "What is this?
What is this?
What's happening?
he
What's with the
chugging?
dead talk?"
We are chugging or drinking a 3-1-2 out of a beer bat that you can get at beautiful historic Wrigley Field, and it has been a bit for like 2 weeks now. If you're still complaining about it on Apple or Spotify, I'm so sorry, but this is what we do. We celebrate wins when we can.
On your marks, Cody.
All right, here we go.
Get set, go. There he goes. I would love to know the Cubs record since Matt Peck saying
Oh, he
Creed's higher for us.
He gave Cody some extra. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
I mean, it's about we got to add about a second afterwards.
second and a half.
Give him a little free time.
Keep going, Cody. Come on, power through, baby. Come on.
Feels like
through
a
the
good
barrel.
one.
He's through the barrel. Here we go.
Finish strong
Through the
here.
barrel.
Finish strong.
Big week. Hump
That was a
day.
good
Wow,
one.
this is his record. Easy record.
All right, what we at?
It was
That's-
it was a late start and a late stop, so it was right around 25.
That's how you know
all
the Cubs
head.
are playing
It's a
well.
record.
Cody is channeling the energy of this Cubs team.
Patrick
It's
Wisdom
gonna
has
get
changed
faster
his
and
swing.
faster.
Cody has changed his chug.
yeah.
I have spent 31 years of my life failing to be good at chugging, and I am learning how to become a good
If
chugger.
these,
Yeah,
if
I
these
think
were
it's the-
Frank
Thanks to
Schwindel
the
Chicago
2023
Cubs, we're
Cubs.
talking 45 seconds a chug.
I think it's
you know?
still too long, but.
Jared says, just wait till we run out of ice cream.
Anyway,
Hey, that's an idea. When we need a CHGO beer bat sponsored by Goose Island.
Hey,
Huh?
Yeah.
We make our own beer bat
Put that out
with
in the
our
universe.
logo
put out in the
and the
universe.
Goose Island logo. By the way, it kind of looks like it's going to rain pretty hard out there.
Oh, yeah.
Cody's
so
getting
anyways,
better at pours.
So Cubs win,
Today's
right?
pour
yeah,
wasn't
Cubs
as good,
win. So
but-
I was trying to find out the numbers, and I probably screwed them up a few times. And I went to Fangraphs, which I'd never been to that site before in my life. But I went there, and I'm digging around. I'm playing around with it. Justin Steele and Marcus Stroman, both top 4 in the National League in ERA. We didn't know. Basically, one of the themes going into the season was we know they have starting pitching depth, but do they have guys that could be considered an ace? And it's only late April, but in this month, they've had 2 guys that have been an ace,
Yeah.
which is a great sign.
Yeah.
You want a little more length, obviously, and I think that'll
Sure.
come. It's a lot of 6-inning starts, but I mean, both of them, 4 starts, 4 quality starts. I mess that up every time.
What's the average start in Major League Baseball, though, this year, right? Like, I mean,
It's probably about.
the days of guys going 8 innings are
Well, yeah. When,
slipping away from us.
when we talk about 6 innings,
6, 7
three
innings
three
are-
earned runs or less, like it's still
It's
a
a
quality
full game,
start for
yeah.
a reason,
Right.
Because you're giving enough length where you're not taxing the bullpen. You're getting deep in the game, all that good stuff, and that's what Stroman and Steele have both done. And like Corey mentioned, like you want to start seeing a little bit more length from those two, especially. I know Marcus Stroman's talked about wanting to throw 200 innings this year. Steele has talked about getting to 180, 200. The only way to hit 200, like you can't go 6 innings every single time and hit 200. You do the math, even 32 starts doesn't get you to 200. So if that's like a benchmark, they have to have some of those 7, 8 inning starts in there because eventually they're probably not going to have a 6-inning quality start every single time.
And it's 200 would be nice, but only 8 guys did it last year in all of baseball.
Exactly.
So
But-
it's just not happening. I do want to point out that both Nathan and Brent agree with me. So I appreciate that in the chat always.
I mean, what my bold
Stop agreeing with
prediction
him.
when we talked about Steele, or when we just did our bold predictions during the offseason, I said that Steele could get 180 innings.
That's right.
I don't know if he's on track because I'm not a math guy, but I mean, you give me 6 innings every start. And hopefully, you mix in a 7 or an 8 inning one in there eventually. I feel like you're on the right track at least.
It's
And you didn't derail
knock
him
on
by
wood.
running into him
Yeah.
yeah, you almost hit him with
on
your
the
bike,
scooter.
but-
Almost hit him with
Yeah,
a scooter.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
and to Michael's asking in the chat, you want more length than 6 inning starts. It's more just over the course of the season.
year, yeah.
You know,
Sure.
you just want a few. If we're talking about guys who are those aces and maybe, you know, obviously getting ahead of ourselves, but like in consideration for a Cy Young or things like that, you're going to need to have some starts that are 7, 8 innings, you know, if not maybe a complete game or 2 thrown in there, just to be in that elite mix at the end of the year. 6 innings, quality start. They literally are 8 for 8 on quality starts. Nobody's complaining. It's amazing. They are setting the pace at the top of this Cubs rotation. I love Stro, I think, has talked, and Steele has, I think, commented on social media. They're pushing each other. Yeah. Like Steele is trying to follow Stroman. Stroman is trying to set the pace for the guys behind him, and you can see it. It's great. But if you want to be in that like elite top tier, you know, you're going to have some starts that are 7 or 8 innings.
I'd be real happy with 2 top 20 guys in baseball.
Absolutely.
Even if they're not in the top 5.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's saying that Steele or Stroman should have given you more by now. Like no one's saying that, but
I think
like
we're
you said,
pleasantly surprised a little by what we've gotten from Steele and Stroman.
I don't even
A little
I don't even
bit.
know
Not
pleasantly
like-
surprised. I think it's like
Oh, yeah.
seeing
I
how-
didn't see Stroman leading the National League in ERA.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But
And I didn't see Steele being 4th after a month either.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, just realistically,
Yeah.
I hoped he'd be good, but
Right.
they've both been all-star good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Steele is just on like such a run. It's really impressive.
And he kind of got roughed up in the 5th inning today when when the A's tied it 2-2. But to get out of it, limited damage. Of course, he
4th
gave
and
up a
5th.
run, but limited damage. He worked. He was able to get a ground ball right to Swanson, double play in the inning, and then was able to come out and give you a clean 6th. So
That was the inning with
That's-
Wisdom
yeah,
in
Wisdom
right
missed
field,
the
right?
ball.
Like,
yeah,
you got to pick up your teammate. He did
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
yeah,
Sometimes they're picking up the pitcher. In this case, he's picking up the right fielder.
yeah. And I think that's the big thing about Steele. And I think I tweeted this in his last start. Anytime like adversity hits him or something's not going well for him, he doesn't like cave. He just kind of figures it out and is able to execute the pitches that he wants to throw and get out of bad situations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The Cubs had just taken a 2-1 lead and then gives up a run. They tie it. Where it's in the middle innings. Like the A's are trying to, win this game, I guess you could say. I mean, I'll just say watching it myself in the moment when that happened, I was like, man, this isn't great. Like we can't lose today, blah, blah. Like in my own head as a fan thinking, that's what I'm thinking. And he gets that ground ball, you get the double play, and you get out of the inning, and then the Cubs come out and just pound them after they finally take Miller out, and that certainly helped, but he was able to come back out, give you a clean 6, and he gives you a quality start, less than 3 runs. Like, again, when it comes to adversity, even though the adversity today was nothing like maybe what he saw against the Dodgers or any of his other starts he's had this year, it just feels like he is very good at just getting out of tough situations. And if he does give up a run or two, he limits the damage to where it's like, okay, it could have been much worse. And so he was getting batted around a little bit in that 5th inning. And again, getting that ground ball to Swanson to start the double play was huge, in my opinion, just for his own confidence and, us not have to sit there and sweat out, this game against a really bad team.
I just love. Go ahead,
I was gonna say,
Ryan.
I think what's been really impressive with Steele this year is just how effective he's been with 2 pitches that aren't like when you look at the guy the Cubs faced today, like Mason Miller, he was hitting the corners, hitting 90. Like I forgot exactly what his velocity was. It's like a 99 mile per hour average
Pumping
on like
102
the fastball.
He's hitting
sometimes.
102.
He was hitting
102,
He was
yeah.
hitting it like he throws hard. He's got good stuff, and like that there's a reason why he's one of the A's top prospects. They're excited about him. Justin Steele doesn't have that, speed on it, right? But he has the four seam with that cut that just kind of, I guess it comes naturally to him a little bit, but like that's effective. And then he out of his 8 pitches today, only one of them wasn't a four seam or a slider. So you're talking about a guy who's going at opposing hitters with mainly 2 pitches and is at least as effective, if not like today he was more effective than a guy who's pumping triple digits at like somewhat consistently. Like that's one of the more impressive things to me is that Justin Steele isn't doing this with like some kind of elite velocity that's just blowing past hitters. It's like he has the stuff makeup that two really good pitches is what's getting him to where he's at right now. And I think that's what's most impressive about it is that he's doing it. He's still relatively young in terms of like major league service, but he's doing it with 2 good pitches that the stuff is better than just like what it could be if he was just throwing 99. Like it's very impressive to see that.
I think Brian Smith said it on Twitter during the game. He tweeted something about, sure, your guy's pumping 102, but my guy has a 20-inch break or something like that. It's like there's different ways to get it done, right? There just are.
Well, and I love it's a very Cody Del Mendo kind of day, but there's just something beautiful about 6 from Steele, 2 clean from Keegan to follow that up. Like by the time Julian Merriweather came in, they're already up by 10 runs. So, he had a nice inning as well with 2 strikeouts. But Steele to Thompson, like, boy, if that's not exactly how Jed Hoyer was hoping some of these games would be playing out. It's a thing of beauty to watch. And, I mean, to your point about, Justin Steele not getting rattled, like Keegan has that same kind of attitude, like the two of them. They go out there, like they get in a little bit of trouble from time to time. Keegan didn't today, but, they stay within themselves. They execute. And, boy, like I'm looking at it right now. Justin Steele, a 1.44 ERA. Keegan Thompson, a 0.87 ERA. Boy.
That's our leader in the
beautiful.
city, baby.
That's just beautiful. Especially when you transition a guy. We spend so much time talking about like the role for Keegan and stuff like that. And to watch him succeed in that last year and now come into that and like really, clearly be a weapon that David Ross wants to use to bridge the gap to, those higher leverage relievers and stuff. It's going really well, and it's just beautiful to watch.
There are guys on the roster who have accepted different roles. Some to probably just try and stay in the majors. Madrigal, play a little third base. But you have Thompson. You have ALLCITY. You have Nico Horner, who moved over to second base so they could sign Dansby. Like, that's the type of teammate you want in an organization. I will say the Madrigal thing today, there is something that bothers me about. I want him to get the opportunities, but I dislike seeing Wisdom in right field because I know he's been great at third base, and you're making your team defensively worse at 2 positions. For third base and right field. And there is something that bothers me about it. I don't want to nitpick in a big win when they win the series, but there's something, I just don't know how long that can last. Unfortunately, there just aren't a lot of spots you can play in because Nico's getting 3 hits every night.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's not ideal, but
I mean, I'll say this. I mean, if what Wisdom did in right field today, if they were playing a good team, I guarantee you we'd probably be sitting here saying that error loomed large. You know what I mean? And that's just been my whole gripe about the roster situation right now. Because I'm not even mad that they sat Seiya today. They had a night game last night and they had a day game today.
Right.
And he had the oblique thing, and I've openly said, treat this guy, don't treat him like he's glass, but like ease him back because those injuries linger. So you want to sit him today? Fine. That's fine with me. You got a big 4-game series against the Dodgers coming up, and you already won this series. So I wasn't upset that they sat Seiya today. It's more of like you got a right fielder in Nelson Velasquez who just hit a grand slam in one of the biggest comebacks of the season the other day, a week ago, whatever, in AAA. But meanwhile, you're having Wisdom play right field, which he's made some nice plays out there, but let's be real, he plays a better third base defensively. And I know you got to get Madrigal in there, but then that goes back to my whole thing that I've said also. You gotta find a way to just move Madrigal. And it's not that I don't like the guy. It's just there's no room for. You have Nico Horner. He's on track to be an all-star this year, man. Like Madrigal. It's not that Madrigal hasn't played bad at third base. It's just more of you'd rather have Wisdom there on a regular basis, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. And now the thing is also and I'll give Madrigal credit for this. He got a big hit today against Miller. His type of hitter he is was great against a guy like him. He can hit the fastball, and he just puts his bat-to-ball skills are great. So I'm giving Madrigal credit where credit is due. But at the same time, again, there's just no spot for him on this roster, man. There's just no spot if you have Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson on it. And so, to me, they need to find a way to move Madrigal somewhere to another team. And I don't, honestly, like, I'd love to get something great back for him, but like, I don't really care at this point because I'd rather just avoid the situation that happened in right field today when you could play Velasquez there, off the bench.
I'd rather DH Madrigal in that situation, to be honest with you. Like, I know he's not a DH guy.
That's wisdom, too, if you want to need them all in there.
Yeah,
I just would rather have him defensively at third base.
Yeah.
By the way, Kurt agrees with me.
They could DH Wisdom if they would have played Seiya, right?
Yes.
But if you want to give Seiya a day off because, like, it makes sense to do that, then that's why having Velasquez on the roster at least makes a little bit of sense.
I think
I don't think so, because if you're asking him to just take, say, a spot when he needs a day off, then you're really
well, you can
doing
also use him in a DH
disservice.
situation too.
But then you just kind of muck up what everyone like. Then Patrick Wisdom's not going to be able to play as much, or Nick Madrigal is not going to be able to play as much. And I guess that ties back into what you said, that there's no room for Madrigal. I think I disagree with that, because if there happens to be an injury up the middle, what do you do then? You could bring up Morel. He wasn't great up the middle defensively last year. It's another thing that we talk about, like, hey, this up the middle defense is very, very important for the Cubs this year. Just a defense in general. You bring up a guy like Morel, who I guess we haven't seen if he's improved defensively at either position, or
Mastroboni.
I think Mastroboni. Maybe. I think Madrigal right now he's hitting. Madrigal's hitting 345. He has a 121 WRC plus, and me and Corey, we talked about like how you have to use that in the right sense. But when you're talking about a guy who has only gotten 31 plate appearances, like, he's not getting consistent playing time. This is the role you asked him to play, right? You asked him to be a guy who starts every now and then, but when he comes off the bench, he has to come through. And as far as the numbers show, he has. I know he's had his mistakes on the base pass, which can cost a team a game depending on the situation. But I think what you've asked him to do this year, he's done it, and that's why I think he fits on this team right now. And of course, that has to continue, right? He has to continue to take advantage.
I'm not even saying I don't think he fits on the team. I'm just saying I would have switched the two roles.
Ultimately,
I would have put Wisdom at third.
I think Cody's probably right about that ball in right field with Wisdom today. Now he came up later and made up for it with his bat, which is what someone like him is going to do. But I think ultimately it's just we've seen it a lot so far this year where you just want to get into a situation where David Ross doesn't have to play guys out of position. That's ultimately what it is. Defense is very important, and they got away with that mistake today. They've gotten away with some other mistakes throughout the year. It's not ideal to constantly be having to figure out, well, if I want to get this guy in, somebody has to play not their everyday position or not a position that they're above average at, right? Like, you sold out a lot to be really good on defense at certain positions, and you're in a spot today where Seiya needs to sit down. Again, I'm cool with that. There was some question in the chat if like something was wrong. Just a day off, just coming back from a pretty iffy injury, like just being careful. But you do you want to be in a position where Wisdom is playing the position he's really good at and has been really good at, and you have a natural right fielder in right field to catch the ball and get good reads and things like that. So,
like I said, I gave Madrigal credit for the day he had at the plate. He had a good day at the plate. He even worked a walk in his last at bat, and I know a lot of people think he doesn't walk any. Whatever. He's doing, from an offensive standpoint, he's doing everything you're asking from. And, of course, the only time he's going to play second base is if Nico or Swanson aren't playing. And, yeah, I understand that, if there is an injury, but it's just, to me, you're risking a lot. And in a way, the Cubs are fortunate to be 11-6 right now with this situation, in my opinion. Because if they had lost, they have 6 losses. If they had lost 3 or 4 more games, and we're talking about the right field defense, then like in knowing that what is in AAA and Velasquez specifically for this particular issue, then yeah, I'd be a lot more worried about it. But yeah, in a way, Ryan, you're right. It's April 19th and they're 11-6 and they're getting away with it right now. But the thing is, the reason that it bothers me is like the Cubs aren't going to like run away with this division. They're what, 1 or 2 games back in Milwaukee right now, and every game matters. I don't care that it's April. Every game matters, and if you lose games because you're playing guys out of position, and something like what happened with Wisdom today looms large in a different game, it's one that you look back on at the end of the year and you're like, oh man, like could have had this one if maybe we played the right guy in right field or something. What happened to Wisdom in right field today, any normal outfielder makes that play.
And it's not his fault. He's not an everyday
right. I'm not
right
even
fielder.
like again.
I don't blame
he's a better
Wisdom at all.
third baseman.
Well,
no
and
doubt.
I think
he's been a great
I think
third
ultimately,
baseman.
like this is the stuff. This is where these conversations go because the team is winning. The team is winning. They're playing well, and we are. It's 17 games in, but we are starting to look at Milwaukee and say, hey, did they win today? Are we going to be in a tie for first place? Like, what's going on with the Cardinals? And that's going to force a lot of these conversations because as they continue to get further into the schedule, if they continue to play this well, all this stuff is just going to get more hotly debated, right? Like, because the team is good.
I just don't want the Cubs to give away games because of their own doing. Like, that's how I'm looking at it. And I get it that you got to have Torrens on the roster because you need that catching depth, and you got to have.
This was the Torrens game.
Yeah.
You got to have all these other like. When do just making sure you're gonna pride yourself on defense? Okay, well then do it all across the field, not just everywhere except for right field. That's the way.
I just think when I look at it, it's I guess I just take the approach of like what's like I don't, not that I don't care about what happens tomorrow. It's just like what's in the best interest for a lot of these guys, right? Like Nelson Velasquez could have maybe helped them. They didn't need his help to win today, right? But say they lost on that Patrick Wisdom on that play, sure, maybe Nelson Velasquez could have helped them win today. Mm-hmm. But what's in the best interest of his development? Sitting tomorrow because Say is back in the lineup, sitting the next 4 games because Say is back in the lineup, and Patrick Wisdom needs a DH or whatever it is. Like, I don't think that for a guy like Velasquez is in the best interest of who he could become for the team, or even as a trade chip, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think having him in AAA where he's playing every day for a guy who has, if I'm looking at it right, like 175 plate appearances at the AAA level, like he's still developing himself. So it feels more of a disservice, and it's kind of like what we talked about with Morel, just a guy that doesn't play every day, who's that young but doesn't play every day. It feels like a disservice in my opinion. And that, I think I'm looking at it as more of a macro view, like what's going to help hit the player, the team, all that stuff in the long run versus like, yeah, Nelson might help them win the next couple weeks, but is that gonna make him a better player in the long run?
It's the tricky challenge an organization like the Cubs has right now in the situation they're in. It's the development versus competing phase. Like you are trying to win every game right now, and you're also trying to keep an eye on the future, so you're doing the right thing for the young guys down below. And I'm not saying it's an easy balance. My only suggestion is I'd rather see Wisdom at third and Madrigal DHing.
I don't think that's a bad idea either.
This is the conversation that you want to be having, right? Like that means that the team is playing well, and that you are having these conversations because you're focused on, hey, we've got a 4-game series with the Dodgers where you're trying to keep this going after you took 2 or 3 from them in LA, right? If the team were bad and they had gotten off to a bad start, who cares, right? Who cares if Trey Mancini's struggling or Eric Hosmer's struggling, because it's just looking like a whatever season. But I think because they've gotten off to such a hot start, because you have guys like Stroman and Steele setting the pace at the top of this rotation, it's leading to a lot of people like clamoring immediately for guys like Matt Mervis because they're dreaming on the possibility, right? And so it's good. I don't have the immediate answer to all of these things. I have a different opinion on certain players than you guys do. We agree on some, we don't agree on others, and none of us get paid to ultimately have to make that decision. So
That's a good thing, right?
It's Jed Hoyer's problem and Carter Hawkins' problem, but I do think it's reflective of this organization being in a good and healthy place, right? You brought in some of these guys as placeholders or reclamation projects, or let's see what happens if they get playing time. And if your young players are forcing these conversations, and the idea of whether you're bringing them up or not is tied to, hey, like we're right now in April, sure, in a playoff race, right? Technically, they would be a playoff team if the season ended today. Great. Like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, that's what we all wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like, so they'll, we'll figure it out.
You know what we want? Super chats.
Yep. I was going to say,
Manny Rios, super chat.
let me read Manuel. He's a good friend.
Manny Rios?
He's
Manuel
Or
Rios.
Manuel Rios.
Manuel frequents the Bulls chat a lot, and he's very hype. After a big win, he's always in with the super chat, and so I like to see that it's carrying here. You guys, IDK about you, but the hype is real. Just need the hitting to start earlier than later, so the starting pitching can have a smooth outing.
IDK stands for I don't know.
What did I say?
IDK.
IDK.
Yeah, that is what it
Yeah,
stands
I was
for.
just letting everybody that
Yes.
doesn't know the lingo
Correct.
like I do.
Manuel, thanks for
Stock
jumping
knows
in,
the
buddy.
lingo.
Thanks, Manuel.
I mean, yeah, the last 2 days, the offense has started off slow, but I mean, I think you give some credit to Miller today. That if there was anything about Oakland to look forward to, it's that guy. I mean, pumping 102 on the edges, you can't teach that. That's
Wait till
just
Cam
pure
Sanders
talent,
gets up
man.
here.
So,
I think that like the whole conversation we're having is something we've talked about the other day. It's like you said, they're good problems to have, and it's like they're winning right now. So sure, could it have cost them? Yeah, but it didn't. So it's like while things are working, keep going, and then once things stop working is when you start, looking at the change. Like you're not fixing something that's not broken. When the wheels start falling off, then you start looking at what you need to do. So like a guy like Luis Torrens, who we've talked about, he's like the third catcher, doesn't play much, can't just get optioned down. The Cubs DFA him, they might lose him, and they just don't have a lot of major league catching depth in the system. But we're having the conversation on April 19th versus like if we're having this same conversation in like 3 weeks from now, then it's a little bit more of like a concern. Like, what are we doing with Luis Torrens? What are the Cubs doing with Luis Torrens, right? But it's April 19th. The Cubs are winning. They've won, 10 of their last 13. Like, whatever they're doing right now has worked. And when you need to cross that bridge, you do. That's when Jed and Carter and Rossi and whoever it is make those decisions, because while it's working, what did you say yesterday? Like, don't rock the boat or something like that?
Yeah, don't rock the boat.
It's like it's going well, and I think the Cubs are fine with where they're at because it's going well. If it starts not going well, changes will be made. I think you can have trust in...
Don't kill my vibe.
Yeah, I think you have trust in the Cubs brass to make those changes if that happens. But right now, they're doing well, man. They're winning. Like, that's... As far as these small conversations are good to have, because at least, you're not... It's not like... What is it? Someone called you like a brainless Cubs simp.
Yeah.
That one time, like, you're not doing that. You're having a good conversation about what the Cubs should be doing.
brainless Cubs simp, yeah.
But that's good to have those conversations even when they're winning, because at least you know where those areas of focus may need to be if things start to go bad.
Tell you what, there's a lot of things that are important. Cubs winning is one. Barb, we are going to stay positive. Manuel with another super chat just because Joey is there. Here you go, another $5. Thank you, and that's going to help keep the lights on.
Love you, Manuel.
Yeah.
ComEd
Mike,
energy efficient lights.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these lights, thank God for ComEd and the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, which is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now, Luke, and into the future.
Oh, you bet, Cody. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
Oh, man. How does that work?
Let me tell you. Well, here's what happens. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. They can be done in person or virtually, last about 2 hours. Then in 3 to 4 weeks, customers get a report detailing energy efficiency projects they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation includes estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, simple payback. If you own a business, don't sleep on this and don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy-saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Luke, did you say ComEd.com/poweringbiz?
That's right, Cody. Schedule it today. And while you're out there, the lights are so bright at Wrigley Field, you need your Shady Rays.
Absolutely.
You don't need them right now at the very moment because it's storming in Chicago. But let me tell you, when the storm
It is dark
passes,
out.
the
It is
sun
dark
comes out, you better have your Shady Rays in your pocket.
Better.
Take on the sun with our gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays, an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair I've ever worn. Durable frames, extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. I love them for fishing and golf. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase them. Together with their customers, Shady Rays providing a much-needed support to nonprofit partners as well across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact. From building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime, Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now for years to come. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusive for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the code CHGO. 50% off. 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades are rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Also known as 250,000 people.
Nick G's got 2 pairs and he loves them.
Hell yeah.
I have 2 pairs
love
too, and I
mine,
love
too.
them. Big fan of Shady Rays.
Unrelated to Shady Rays, but maybe it is in a way if you can spin it that way. Caleb Killian from Alex Cohen, who does AAA Iowa stuff, the broadcaster. He's been tweeting Caleb Killian's outing so far. He's 4 innings so far, no runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. So he's starting to trend up since that very first outing of the year. First outing of the year, he gave up 7 runs. It's been a lot better since then. So
Kate Horton's on TV right now, I think. Somebody in the chat said he had 2 strikeouts in the first inning. So I think that's on marquee.
Kate Horton.
As we speak.
Hold me, it's
finish
Thunder
watching
stock.
our show first, obviously. You know.
Buy stock while you can on Kate Horton.
Barbara said it in the chat earlier, like, they were really a Michael Fulmer kind of batted ball luck inning
Yes.
on Saturday against the Dodgers from a sweep of an entire California road trip, which is, I can't even believe that's almost possible. I just always
One
assume,
bad inning.
I think like for any Chicago team, when they make that trip out to California, that it just isn't going to go that well. And this was the complete opposite. I mean, they just look great. And I'm looking forward to this series against the Dodgers for 4 games. It's going to be tough. You're going to see some really good pitching. But, like, if the Cubs show up in this series, I think we're all feeling really good about them. Like, I think that'll ratchet things up a little bit. If they can prove over 2 series that they can beat that team and beat that pitching.
You know what else might make you feel good? What about an extension for Marcus Stroman? Hap, Horner, Bruce Levine says
On marquee
Cubs
today.
might be talking extension with Marcus Stroman.
Was it on Marquis pregame show?
He's got a player option for next year. So some people look at the way he's pitched in the first month of the season where you say, all right, the guy's got the best ERA in the National League. If it were me, I'd be thinking, bet on myself, lose the player option, and go for the big money. I will say this. He does come across as a guy who likes it here. And he hasn't liked everywhere he's played. But so far,
Toronto.
He'd like Toronto. Yeah. A lot of roses here. He didn't like New York. He certainly likes pitching in day games, likes pitching at Wrigley Field, and he's been successful. He spent a lot of time in last night's postgame talking about his relationship with Hotovy and Moskos. Like, he really likes the way they can help him not only adjust between starts, adjust in game. where they can go and tell him you're leaning out too much. You're not over the mound enough, and it's causing you just a little bit of. He did it the other day when he had kind of a slow start, and they saw something in video in between innings. Boom! Then he just cruised the rest of the game. So he likes he described Hotovy as being really in sync with him throughout the game, that they're able to do stuff within game. Listen, that's great for your career. Sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. So I like the idea of having him for a couple more years. I really do. And the Cubs have done everything to help a guy just like him, right? A contact guy. Mm-hmm. Bellinger, Horner, Swanson, he's great up the middle. All of a sudden, you've taken the whole chunk of the middle of the defense and made it really good for a guy who likes to get ground balls.
Yeah, I mean, I know, if they extend him, depending on how much money it is, it might affect the, will the Cubs go and get Shohei Ohtani? All I'm saying is, in my opinion, based off the fact that the Chicago Cubs are worth $4-something billion, extending out Marcus Stroman shouldn't stop them from still pursuing Shohei Ohtani. That's just my opinion. If that even becomes like a thing, like the Angels could keep him, who knows? Yeah, I mean, he's been very good. I mean, outside of the first half of last year, which was basically injury riddled, and you had COVID and everything, and he had a bad month of April. But other than that, he's been really good for the Cubs. Second half of last year was great. I mean, coming into this year, I was just like, just pitch like you did in the second half of last year, and he took that and said, "Hold my beer, Cody," and he's been even better than that. So I think he's earned the reason to opt out at the end of the year if he keeps pitching like this and make more money. And at the same time, like if he wants to stay here, maybe they extend him and it's less money than what we might expect, like Ian Happ, for example, because maybe he just wants to be somewhere that he really likes. So I don't know.
He's
I
not
really
going to
don't
get
know.
a super long deal at his age.
No, I don't see. I see if Stroman pitches the way he has pitched all year, I definitely see him opting out of that last year, or declining his player option for next year. Which I think if he hits free agency, because he's projected to get $21 million. Is that what we
21 million?
said?
Yeah.
I think if he pitches the way he has, he's not going to probably won't be a long term deal, but he'll probably get paid more money, at least as far as AAV goes. And the things I've looked at is like players can technically restructure their contract, except I guess the Players Association doesn't let it happen unless it benefits the player. Mm-hmm. So it feels like a kind of a mess in terms of things. So like it's more of a rarity in MLB for like the restructuring to happen. So it feels like if the Cubs were going to sign him to an extension, it would have to be like after the year, Marcus Stroman hits free agency because he's had a great year, wants to cash in, and then they'd have to go out and actually bid against other teams. Now, has he said he wants to stay in Chicago? Yes. He even talked about with Ian Happ, when Ian Happ got the extension, he said, Ian Happ's a foundation piece. He got a good foundation here, a good core, and I hope I'm a part of that. Like that's what Stroman said the day Ian Happ got extended. So he likes it here. It just may be if he pitches this way and hits free agency, like the Cubs are going to have to pay more than that $21 million that they were.
Aaron says $25 million with innings incentives, so it could be up to 25. So, but either way, like you're saying, he's not going to get a super long deal because of his age.
Yeah,
and you'd have to really sweeten it from the one. It's an interesting conversation that could be going on behind closed doors. Ohtani versus Strowman is a totally different. It's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But if you're saying, well, you can't have both, well then, a little different story. Cody, do you have a DraftKings pick of the week that you're looking at?
Oh, Luke. I mean,
you were pretty close to some hits today.
I got disappointed. Cody Bellinger ruined my parlay I had going.
Your second
Cody, your picks of the
parlay.
week are still baseball focused.
Yeah, of course they are.
Well, NBA playoffs.
There are the NBA playoffs.
Some good betting going on. This is a baseball show. Probably a good idea.
I am thinking about placing a wager on the Nuggets tonight at -8, just because I think the Timberwolves are just dead. But if you want a baseball pick, I really do, really do like the Yankees tonight, -155 against the Angels. But that's only because I don't know. The Angels are so hit or miss. I don't know. Yankees at home. Yeah.
Starting to like the Phoenix Suns in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I saw the PHNX guys got the sexy saxophone after a win. And I'm starting to wonder, what instrument are we going to play?
They've got a cool like alternate logo that they did too. It's a cool, like, imagine if the Cubs made the playoffs and then we like redid the logo in the bottom right and it was like, like Fly the W playoff push.
How about play the W flute? We got a little jazz flute going.
Sure.
Can you play the
Whatever you want,
Is that
Stucky, sure.
cooler? They don't actually play it. They're faking playing the saxophone to some sexy saxophone music. I could burgundy some jazz flute.
Quick update: Cade Horton is pitching for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans right now. He's through 2 innings, 4 strikeouts. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. This is his Myrtle Beach debut. Yeah, first game pitching at Myrtle Beach. Yeah,
and that's a
4 strikeouts
pitcher's
in 2 innings.
park, but still, who cares?
It's still like you're
Guarantee the Angels are watching.
if it's your first round pick from the year before, if you're the Cubs, you're liking what he's putting out there, regardless of the park that he's playing at. Because 4 strikeouts in 2 innings for a guy, this is what, his second, third start, like professional start, second or third, something like that.
I think it's the first one in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, first in Myrtle Beach, so I think it's a second. This is his second professional outing, and he's striking out guys. So if you're like Cubs, you're definitely liking what you're seeing, even if it's still very, very early in the young guy's career.
I bet they got a Foco bobblehead of him coming out not too long from now. They'll start working on that. Look, we got a Wesneski, we got a Nico, we got a Clark the Cub. Foco hooked us up with some cool bobbleheads for our set. We've already got the best sports coverage in town right here at CHGO. Now you get fitted out with the best sports gear around: hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. Spring and baseball season, they've got the Aloha shirts. Hello, Hawaiian Ryan. Straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for a game. Set decorations have been spectacular. The Clark the Cub one stands there, looks over our set, watches out for everybody. We love them all. Check out Foco.com. Click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. They got some great stuff. I want to see some of these Hawaiian shirts on Ryan. He's got
there's Hawaiians everywhere.
Hawaiian Herrera over here has got a lot of nice Hawaiian shirts, but we get you a couple extra ones. I'm gonna look on their site. Check it out.
I mean, I do need to add to the collection because some of my Hawaiians are getting a little old. Not that they're old, it's just like they've been seen too many times.
Fresh. You're always looking for fresh.
I need fresh Hawaiians. And if you want to catch me wearing a Hawaiian at Wrigley Field, you can with GameTime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. GameTime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all of the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Cody, like you probably use GameTime more than the rest of us. How often do you go on GameTime? You're passing by Wrigley on the red line, and you just kind of pull out your phone, right?
Yeah, it's like every home weekend series. Since I'm always here, when I can go watch the Cubs, it's usually on the weekend, so I'm always going on GameTime. I don't even look at it, honestly, until I get off the red line at Edison, open it up, and I'm like, wow, this price went down really fast compared to like a few hours ago. And that's the beauty of GameTime, Ryan.
Beauty of GameTime, yeah. So we love GameTime here. You go on your GameTime app. You can find anything on Cubs tickets. Even if you're a Sox fan, you go find Sox tickets. The Bulls, whenever they eventually come back, Bulls, Bears in the fall, Blackhawks in the fall, like all
concerts.
That. Concerts. I'm looking right now. Blink-182 tickets are still very expensive on GameTime for the May 6th show. So
but cheaper than everywhere else.
Cheaper than everywhere else. And as it gets closer, those numbers will drop. GameTime gives you flash deals and last-minute tickets. It's easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. You can actually see the images of the seat views. Like you can click on it. Like
that's helpful.
Yeah, if you're looking for a Cubs game, you can click on it and it'll show you kind of exactly where the seat you're picking is. It's always great, especially for our friend Susie Hunter. I'm sure she wished she had that last year when she got stuck behind a pole at a Cubs game. But yeah, so the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. You get that with GameTime. So GameTime is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. GameTime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and all other kind of events. The GameTime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You get images of your seats, like I said. You can buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. So go on GameTime, snag the tickets without the stress with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. That's right. We have a code now. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Yeah, because you know what? Cubs tickets are going to be hard to get pretty soon.
If they keep
starting to happen. So
Thank
keep
God I have
GameTime
friends
in your
with Corey.
back pocket. You go hang out at Do Right for a couple hours before the game. You just wait for the tickets to drop and
Boom.
snap them up right there.
Boom. We have a super chat.
Couple
We had
more.
another
Couple new
super
ones.
chat.
Yeah, we got a super chat from Dustin.
Dustin
Says,
Allen.
Don't
Oh,
get
this
to
here.
be with y'all live. Thank you, Joey. Don't get to be with y'all live as often now that the season started. Keep up the good work. Go Cubs. Shout out to you, Dustin.
We just
Thanks,
got another
Dustin.
one.
Hashtag Dustin.
Edward all the way at the bottom.
Edward.
$10 from Edward Elbrick.
Oh, yeah.
Edward
Another 10
Elric.
spot.
Oh, all right.
Just a little token of my appreciation for Cody's Cubs parlay recommendation. $4 signs. Ching, 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 ching. There it is.
You must have done a
There
different
it
one
is.
from today because they went 0-2 today because Bellinger didn't get a hit. But did go 2-0 yesterday, so we'll take that.
Del Mendo money right there.
That's gambling, man. We just try to have as much fun doing it as we can.
Ron is ready to chug a Goose Island with Cody.
Who is? Ron?
I think we should get people. Here's what I would like to see for the beer chug. We're going to make it a social media thing. We're going to post Cody's and people reply with their own beer bat chug at home. That's what I want to see. Their own Goose Island beer bug. If you send us a clip of yourself chugging a beer bat with Goose Island in it, we'll attach it to one of our tweets.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Right?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, why not?
We'll post yours.
I post
and the
mine like every
retweet
day,
will
so.
be everybody else doing it.
I post mine after every win.
I
at
believe they
least.
call it a thread.
Yeah, you are correct, Stuck. Look at you.
Got all kinds of things.
Marcus.
IDK.
Marcus in the chat says, once again, this team reminds me of the 1984 Cubs team, the same kind of style of playing.
It feels like an old school kind of
Got to
team.
get our Sutcliffe.
Hey, if this team wins 96 games, I don't know.
Luke, tell us about the
I don't know what to
1984 Cubs team.
offer up, but I'll do something if this team
Heartbreak.
wins 96 games.
Luke, tell us
84
about the
Cubs were
1984
great,
Cubs.
but then they were heartbreak.
Luke can tell us about the 1908 Cubs as well.
Damn.
I can't. I got some on that. Won the World Series.
Back to back.
So,
I brought up Marcus because he was at the game today. He sent me a picture from the ballpark, so I wanted to read his
Is who you got going to be litigated?
Let's do it right now. Let's do it right now.
I was sitting in the corner and I just heard a
All
lot
right.
of debate.
What are we
today.
doing? All right, here's where I have the pregame rankings. I have Ryan 6-8, Corey 4-10, me 4-10, Cody 3-11.
Hold on.
Are there any objections?
Well, here. So this is what I'm going to propose.
Pre-game
because
today?
This is going into today's game.
This is going into today's
so
What
game.
about
Luke-
that time that Master
who won
Pony
last
got that
night?
hard hit at the end of the
So
game?
Luke,
I won last night.
Hold on. So Luke
Marcus Stroman.
Luke awarded himself the point yesterday,
right.
but we thought it was a little more of a debate because Seiya was he 2 for 2 with 3 walks, like a run. Somebody he had a pretty
He
good day
batted
himself.
5 times. He was on base
He had 2
5
hits.
times.
So
He scored the winning run.
He had 2
so
hits.
I think,
And I'm taking an automatic L, an uncontested L.
Yeah,
on
I think
that,
we should-
apparently.
Actually, you're not.
I think for hold on. Let me propose.
Cody's outta here.
Let me propose that I think the chat.
It's
We
already
put a
been
poll in the
decided.
chat right now, Joe. We put a poll in the chat between yesterday's game, Seiya and Stroman.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the show, whoever gets the most votes wins. Can we put a poll in the chat?
Yeah, I can.
That'd be
Sure, you
great.
can get people's opinion. Let me tell you why it's already over.
Don't
and
even
been
say
decided.
Luke or Corey's name. Just say Seiya and Stroman.
Let me tell you why it's already over. Because I saw a lot of things in our Slack channel last night. One was Kevin Wells' irrelevant comment, not here. And his comment was, we've already said that Bellinger would have won going 5 for 5. 2 for 2 with 3 walks is not the same as 5 for 5. Okay? And let me tell you, it's all about context as well. because last night's game was not about offense. It wasn't. It was about pitching. The other team didn't score. You can't lose when the other team doesn't score. And my guy went shutout, period. 6 shutout innings. And he became the National League leader in ERA. National League leader in ERA. I know you're thinking, listen, you might be a little biased on this. Actually, let me tell you what was said on social media by some people you might recognize. Look at the Chicago Cubs put out a post. Straight fire, Marcus Stroman. No mention of Seiya Suzuki. Corey Freeman of Corey_Cubs. Walking past beautiful historic Wrigley Field, looking at the polls. It happens to be the future pitcher, best pitcher in the National League. Oh, look, it's Marcus Stroman, so Corey votes for him. Ryan Herrera, Marcus Stroman since returning from the injured list. Corey Friedman again. Look at Marcus Stroman.
Luke.
So all these tweets are about Marcus Stroman. You're going to tell me somehow
Luke.
3 walks from Seiya is like going 5 for 5.
First of all,
it's over.
the utter betrayal in my heart that Joey put an anti-me graphic together on behalf of
present
Luke.
what you said.
First of all. Second of all,
I thought you would like the pro Luke graphic in my defense.
Both of the tweets from me are his full season. Luke. Ryan's tweet is going back to last season. We're talking about last night. He was great. I think we should both get a W.
Well,
that would
I
be
got
my
news for
suggestion.
We can't tie.
I got news for you guys. I mean, we got
the Cubs don't win that game until Seiya Suzuki
we got
steps on home
We've
plate.
got
Stroman.
27 votes.
Luco, Stroman.
28 votes right now. 30 votes in our poll.
Vanilla Chill
80,
changed.
20.
Stroman's running away with it. 80-20 say Stroman is the winner.
We got a few.
I don't know
minutes.
if I don't know, and I.
So today's
Got to the end of the show.
I don't think
Today's- who we
Stuckey
got?
could have made all of those burner accounts. I don't think he.
I didn't
knows-
make any burner
I don't
accounts.
think
I
he
just
can.
posted.
If it was somebody else, I would have
listen,
what
accused
they
them.
said.
Listen, I will go with that. That's a clear. I respect the vote. I respect our
There's still
YouTube
time.
chat.
Brendan also went Stroman, by the way.
I'm just gonna say, as we play this game, I pick a hitter. He bats 5 times. He's successful all 5 times. It just feels like, well, what am I? What is
My
he
guy
supposed
gave
to
up
do?
no runs.
You know what I mean?
I think there has to be added.
You and I are. I'm advocating that I think we both should get some credit here.
You're looking for a rule change.
I do think there has to be
potentially.
added
Voted on.
weight because of the
Potentially.
fact that hitting is so much harder than pitching.
You know what else? This is one other thing I was going to say. This season, we've talked about it ad nauseum, that the way the Cubs are going to get to the postseason is through pitching and defense. Stroman went out, gave up no runs. I rest my case.
They can possibly get to the
Cubs
postseason.
We need a
in the
graphic that
postseason.
says the commissioner has spoken, and like a little animation.
Ron S.,
of it.
I agree with Luke.
Even Collada
I'm once
agreed.
again agreeing with Luke. Collada, I agree with Luke.
You know what's sad is that
Nick
my,
says I
my
take
guy
it too
didn't do
seriously, but
jack
I do
shit
agree
last
with
night, and my guy didn't do jack shit today. So I have no argument. Like,
I'm gonna make a little animated
I'm the
chug
worst.
gavel of him hitting.
Right,
the
well,
only
okay,
person
so
I'm doing better
Sean
than
says
is Joey.
Luke stays winning.
It feels
And
like
he's
that's settled. So
not
should we talk about today?
Yes, today. So who did we all have today? Ryan had Hap, 1 for 3, an RBI, a run scored, and a base on balls. Cody
Solid day.
had Cody Bellinger, 0 for 4. Did have an RBI, but 2 strikeouts. Corey had Rios, 0 for 2, and a strikeout. And I had the man of Steele. 6 innings, 1 earned run, a quality start again, and now 4th in the National League in ERA.
Funny how you leave
with
off
5
that sec-
Ks.
no. Funny how you leave off that second
keep
run.
using the
one earned
year-long
run.
stats for one game.
But it's funny how you leave off that second run when
2 runs,
when
1
my
earned
guy
run.
gave up 7 runs
Kyle.
and only 2 were earned. That was a huge part of it.
7 runs in 1 inning is different than 1 run and 2
two
earned
were
runs.
earned.
I don't. Look,
Five
Is
in that
Ryan
entire
still
inning.
on the Wisniewski thing
I'm
from
just
last
saying.
week? Is that what's
I'm
going
saying
on?
Luke
You're out of
can't.
your
No,
mind.
I'm saying
Wisniewski's
Luke.
not bad in
Ryan's
his
on
1 inning.
stuff from last
I'm
year.
saying
like-
Luke can't conveniently leave out the fact that there was another run in there.
There was
He just-
another run. 1
Ryan's like
earned.
the Bill
Went right over
Belichick of
that.
this game. He's like
I-
taking every.
I just
Puts up
think-
his hood,
possibly
I just think
cuts off his sleeves.
I
Warrior.
don't think pitchers should be in unless I just don't think
I'm willing
pitchers
to
should be in.
I'm willing to look at that
because
rule moving
because I
forward.
think like your argument today,
But
like
you can't
Steele,
retroactively make the
Steele
rule.
does that over 6 innings. Like I mean, unless we're talking like Patrick Wisdom the other night where he hits 2 bombs, like it's going to be tough for a hitter to make an argument that they were the bigger contributor than if a guy goes out and throws a quality start. So I just think that like whoever gets the pitcher on a lot of these days is just going to be able to steal it.
I was looking for
Well, they all
this morning's early tweet from Corey saying, you know what? Luke won last night. knowing that he was going to try and use that to his advantage for a little extra push maybe today. I agree that maybe we look forward, in the future, once Ryan's suspension is up at April 25th, from taking a pitcher, that maybe we look at not taking pitchers and we just go on position players.
Just easier to compare, right?
I think we should do that now so that I'm not the only one that can't take any starting pitchers. That's just me.
Well, no, you deserve to be punished.
Yeah, you
That's
You
right.
deserve to be punished. I banned myself from Dansby Swanson because he went 0 for 5 with
that
5
is
strikeouts.
that's
I'm a
just a
man of
big
integrity,
deal.
Ryan.
Ryan's suspension
You're sitting here
appeal was denied.
Still
Right?
complaining
That-
about your guy who went 1 1/3 innings.
That's just a totally bad pick considering the fact that Dansby hits, like, pretty much plays every day. You just pick the one day.
Yeah, he
that
had
had
his worst game of the year when I
Yeah.
picked him. That's why I'm not
Potentially has
using him.
got
I'm
to
a
be
man
able
of
to
integrity.
steal it.
Right?
Ron
Nico
S.
all day.
Ron S. says, who agrees with me saying CHGO Cubs is the best Cubs show around? I agree, and I think that's a good place to end it.
All right, so I improved to 5 and 10. Cody falls to 3 and 12. Corey to 4 and 11, and Ryan goes to 6 and 9.
Nice.
Thanks
Joey
for
had
checking out the
Tucker Barnhart
CHGO
today.
Cubs.
And Joey goes
And
to
Joey-
0 and 6, 7, maybe?
Something like that.
Oh, we're 6 and 7, but
Something
I don't
around there. But we're still in the game.
Show
Still
Joey,
in the
baby.
Still
game.
on my
Still
name
in the
red,
game.
all right?
Who is your holding pick now moving forward?
Now that
It will be
Mastro-
disclosed on tomorrow's post-game show.
Oh, wow. So he's going to take. Listen, if
I have
that
to
isn't
think
a
about
tease
it.
for tomorrow's postgame show, we'll be here. Cubs Dodgers. Hopefully it's not rained out. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. It's a Cubs sweep. Fly the W.